Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Got something that everybody needs to hear. Everybody needs to check out. Everybody needs to spread the word. Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer was on Charlie Ross's show. Charlie Ross is a PBS host who his show was called The Week, I believe. And he had the justice on Thursday last week. They air on Friday. And I'll have a link in the description to the entire interview. It's a 55-minute interview from which they talk about a range of things, from the death of Antonin Scalia, what the vacancy means to the court, what a 4-4 decision is, etc., how often they are in full agreement, 9-0 or 8-0 now, etc. It's a pretty interesting interview. But there is something that he said that needs to be spread across the land. It needs to be brought out and brought into the light. And it's his view on the Second Amendment. He's anti-gun, okay? He was appointed in 1994 by Bill Clinton. Prior to that, he was the Chief Justice of the First District here in Boston in the U.S. Court of Appeals. He's a liberal. He comes from Massachusetts. But what he said in last week's interview about the Second Amendment is going to play a part in your direction you're going to vote. And what do I mean? What he says tells you how important this next presidential election is. We're like 26 days away from the election, and the next president is going to appoint justices that will affect your Second Amendment. Now, there are a lot of people that say, nah, they're not coming after your guns. Well, I want you to listen to this quote he said. Now, just so I don't let my anger and frustration influence what I'm going to say, I'm going to read this question from the host and the answer from the justice in its entirety so that I get it right. And you'll see why this is infuriating, and you'll see why this is of huge importance for the future of this country. Our future, our children's future. This gives you a glimpse right here, okay? Rose's question was, what does the Second Amendment mean to you? And here's his quote, and it's scary, because this is the Supreme Court. It says, in Article 1 of the Constitution, it gives the Congress the power to call up and regulate state militias. There was a lot of concern if you read the Federalist Papers, and you get a feeling for it. There was a lot of concern and fear that Congress might do that and disband them, and replace the state militias after they had disbanded them with a federal army. And that, many people said, vote no on the Constitution, because if they can do that, they can do it. Meaning, if we approve it as written, Congress can disband the militias. This federal government can destroy your freedom. Well, said Madison in a sense, as I paraphrase him, and he's paraphrasing Madison, never fear, we will put in the Constitution an amendment which says Congress can't do that. It cannot call up and disband the state militias. Why? Because a well-armed militia is necessary for the security of a free state, i.e. the state militia, and therefore the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. In other words, they're talking about that. That is what I thought they were talking about, which is not the right of an individual to keep a gun next to his bed, okay? End quote. That's the Supreme Court Justice, the person tasked with making decisions that affect the nation. And he's telling you how he interprets the Second Amendment based on what his feelings are. Now, there you have in his own words a Supreme Court Justice telling you that he doesn't believe that the right to keep and bear arms is an individual right. That it just had something to do with keeping Congress from instituting a federal military or police force, kind of like the UN. Now, the Supreme Court right now is deadlocked 4-4. There are 4 justices, well, 3 others, that think just like Justice Breyer, and there are 4 justices that have the opposite view, that believe that the Second Amendment secures an individual's right to keep and bear arms and protect yourself. The way that the forefathers thought was that all of our rights came from our Creator, and that no rights came from any government. The Constitution was written, and the Bill of Rights were instituted to basically recognize those rights and to limit the powers of government. That's it. This election, in less than 4 weeks, is going to determine the future of this country and all the decisions of the Supreme Court for the next lifetime, for 30 to 40 years. I'm not telling you how to vote. If you watch this channel, you know that I don't do any politics other than what affects the Second Amendment. This election affects the Second Amendment. This election affects the future of this country. This election affects America and our freedom. So take this little bit of information that I found. I'll have a link to Rose's website where you can watch the interview in its entirety, and you know, take from it what you will. But in his own words, he says that the Second Amendment doesn't secure an individual's right to keep a firearm next to his bed. So that's eye-opening. Please share this. Please like this. Hit that thumbs up so that it'll get more play on YouTube. It'll rank higher. People will see it. Because nobody is going to tell you this. This interview was a week ago, and I found out about it on accident, you know, looking up something on the internet. It came up under a related search. So please, I ask of you, like this, share it. Share it everywhere you can. And if you like information about our freedoms, the Second Amendment, please subscribe to the channel. I put out stuff as fast as I can as soon as I hear the news. And if you're familiar with what's been going on in the last year or so, there are attacks on guns left and right. So this channel, I try to keep up with it as much as possible. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. I value your support. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, and carry a weapon. Take care.